Soul Eater is one of my favorite animes of all time. I've seen many animes over the years, but this is one that has a special place in my heart, as it was one of my first animes. The premise of the show is that it takes place in a world where demons are real. That sounds really complicated, but surprisingly it's actually relatively easy to follow. In this world, they're called Kishins, and they eat the souls of humans, as demons do. However, on the other side of the spectrum are two kinds of humans who fight these Kishins. One kind of human can turn into a weapon at will and be used to fight Kishins. The other kind of humans are called Meisters, who wield said weapons. After a Kishin is defeated, a weapon therefore must consume their soul, and if they can obtain 99 Kishin souls and 1 witch soul, that weapon will become a death scythe and become used by the Grim Reaper himself. The show revolves around 9 students at the Grim Reaper School, Death Weapon Meister Academy. 3 weapon and Meister pairs, Maka and Soul, Blackstar and Tsubaki, and the Grim Reaper's very own son, Death the Kid, along with his twin pistols, Liz and Patty. Together, these 9 work together to convert their weapons into death scythes and to stop the Reaper's greatest foe, the demon Asura. Soul Eater is a great show filled with great animation, memorable songs, brutal action, and touching character development. Despite being made in 2008, the anime still holds up very, very well to today's standards and is a must-watch in my opinion for anyone who calls himself a fan of anime. So then you must be thinking, if I like Soul Eater so much, then why is the video titled Fixing Soul Eater? Well, you see, most people can agree that Soul Eater is great, but not perfect. There's a few things about the anime that always rubbed me the wrong way, and there were missed opportunities that I think would have made the show just a little bit better. So today, we're going to be looking back at this classic anime and going over patching up its very few rough spots. Together, let's fix Soul Eater. Firstly, a huge problem with this show were the villains. At least the last 2 villains. The show's initial antagonist, Medusa, was amazing. She ticked all the boxes of what a good anime villain should be. She had a distinct look and charming personality, she had a connection to the main characters, and most importantly, she was easy to hate and fear. Not to mention, we knew a lot about her origin story, and we saw her do evil things, like locking up Krona and possessing a little girl's body. Arachne and Asura never had the same presence. Arachne in particular is a character I would have completely cut out of the show. Why? Because she provided nothing to the story that couldn't have just been done by Medusa. Medusa was trying to revive Asura anyway, and that's exactly the same thing that Arachne ended up doing. She never established a connection to the main characters because she wasn't around in any of their stories before her introduction. Arachne didn't need to be here. Medusa had more to do in the story, and that's why she was brought back to life to begin with. Arachne didn't have a point. She never commanded my attention and never felt dangerous. If I'm honest, more attention should have been given to building up Asura. Asura is Soul Eater's Voldemort. He's a big deal with a violent past and a failed uprising. He's so powerful that the Grim Reaper himself couldn't even defeat him and had to resort to imprisoning him instead. One thing the anime really got wrong when compared to the manga was Asura's connection to death. In the manga, it's revealed that Asura is Death's son and is therefore Kid's older brother. This added a whole new layer to the story, and it raised so many questions, like, Death would wrap his own son in a prison made of his skin? How would Kid react to all this, and would he be able to put down his old blood? Did Death not kill Asura because he was his son? This revelation added connection to one of the main characters and provided a lot more intrigue, both to the past and the current stories. Cutting this from the show is a huge mistake in my opinion. Without this twist, Asura has no connection to the main characters, and therefore there's no reason to care much about him. Medusa was so great because of her connection to Krona and to Stein. She had connections, and that was what made her so memorable. Asura needed connections to be on her level, and instead they wasted our time on a villain that didn't need to exist, and failed to build up the biggest villain in the show. I would have also made another controversial decision that I guarantee you guys are really going to hate me for. I would have cut Excalibur out too. Excalibur's episodes were entertaining in my opinion, and I enjoyed his character, but the problem is that in the overall scheme of things, his episodes were kind of a waste of time. It wasn't like Excalibur was wielded by one of the main characters at any point in the story. If Excalibur had been the weapon used to defeat Asura at the end, it would have made sense. But in the end, Excalibur is stuck watching from afar along with everyone else. So in the end, his episodes were kind of a waste of time. Time that, as I've said earlier, could have been used to build up Asura or one of the other main characters. The next thing I would have changed is admittedly a huge nitpick. The show wouldn't exactly have died without this change or anything, but I personally would have liked to see it. The nitpick is that I would have had Maka and Soul kiss in the end. I'm sorry, I know Maka has been shipped with other characters before, like Death the Kid, Krona, and even Stein. Yuck. But Soul was Maka's soulmate. They were partners and roommates. They were very protective and caring for one another. Maka was so scared for Soul after Ragnarok sliced him. And Soul was willing to lay down his life for Maka when Stein was quote-unquote trying to kill them. Maka helped bring Soul's spirit out of the Red Room and back into the real world again. She helped him become more responsible while he helped her loosen up and have fun. These two should have gotten together in the end. They were building it up, and it didn't make sense to keep them apart. And as you can tell by the tone of my voice, it really irritated me that they didn't put these two together in the end. So, in my opinion, they really should have put these two together. And the last thing I would have changed about the show is the finale. Everyone has had something to say about the finale of this show. People even say that Soul Eater is held back from being one of the greats because his ending was so convoluted. While I don't think a finale necessarily ruins an entire show, even I have to admit that the finale of Soul Eater was pretty bad. First of all, Mako is revealed to be half-weapon. This twist raises so many questions, like, do people choose if they're a weapon or a Meister, or are they born that way? Are all Meisters half-weapons and vice versa? Do Meister weapons need to be wielded, or can they wield themselves? So many questions that would have been really cool to explore if, it wasn't the finale. Seriously, why make a twist like this at the very end, knowing that it can never be explored? What a waste of a twist. If they were hell-bent on doing this twist, it needed to be far earlier in the story, like a season finale to hype people up for the next season, not the very end of the entire show. My goodness. And the second thing that needed to be changed was Asura's death. In the anime, Maka kills Asura with one punch. One punch takes out the son of Death himself. Man who is sealed away because Death had such a hard time fighting him, killed by one punch from a normal girl. She didn't even wield Soul to beat him. No, she just killed them all by herself. It isn't like she's related to a god or anything like that. She's just a normal girl with a lot of heart. This ending was crap. In my opinion, they were building up all these 9 characters throughout the entire show, and therefore all of them should have killed Asura. This should have been all of their moments. Imagine the emotion of Death the Kid dealing the final death blow to his own brother, or the comedic potential in Blackstar actually surpassing a god like he always promised he would. So yeah, in the end, I think without Arachne, Excalibur, with a lot more firm finale and a better buildup of Asura, Soul Eater would have been perfect. As things stand, Soul Eater is still worth your time, absolutely, and I would recommend it for anyone. After all, a sound soul dwells within a sound mind and a sound body.